What is up, my people? We're in the house tonight from the forum, coming to you live from all over the U.S. I think everybody's in the U.S. here. But, we got a rocking show for you tonight. And above all, I have to give kudos because my guy Seth is rocking that stash tonight on the show for you guys. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing tonight?
Yo,
I mean, technically, we all have stashes tonight.
that is true. That is
but
true.
it's different when it's by itself. There's when you're clean down here, but you got that. It's just different.
It is clean, man. Hey, happy to be on with you guys. It's been a hell of a week, honestly. Like usually championship week, super high vibes, but things around the industry just been a little shaky lately. But like when I knew Tyler, JC, Evan were all getting together tonight, I'm like, hell, I got to pull up. We got to end the week the right way. And I can't let JC lead anyone astray in championship weeks as well. So had to be here. Happy to be on From the Form tonight, guys. Cheers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, JC, no leading people astray.
Hey, that's what I do best.
What about you, Evan? How are you doing tonight?
I'm golden, man. Like Seth said, happy to be here with this crew, man. There's nothing, things can be crazy, but all is right when you got Tyler, JC, Seth, and myself. Definitely last on the list here, but this group of four hanging out, man, everything is okay in the world. So,
Hell yeah.
Well, I have to ask because Seth is repping it. How did y'all feel about that game last night?
It was spectacular. I don't think as a fantasy manager could we have asked for anything more. Like really no losers on the night. If you started pretty much any of the premier players, you're coming out of that thrilled. And even both defenses, despite a high scoring game, you got away with it as well. So vibes are high, I think, for me. JC, how are you feeling out there on the West Coast or closer to the West Coast?
I mean, Midwest, baby, I guess, kind of.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't even crazy. Like, even if you had to dig deep in some leagues, like Kareem Hunt even got you a touchdown. Like, they got him involved a little bit too. So that was nice. So if you were lucky enough to have, like, let's say you went Flacco, Njoku, Ford, like that was your starting three, and maybe you were lucky. Like, I mean, in some leagues, like you could even had Breece Hall. Like, if that was your start to the week, like you probably won. Like, that's pretty hard to like come back from.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I can tell you this. I don't know about you, Evan, but I went into that game thinking like this is gonna be a trotting along, slow, defensive game. And there was nobody. Like, if you get down to brass tacks, there was nobody going, yes, you need to start either quarterback in this game. Jets a top pass defense. Browns a top pass defense. Like, you're good. This game literally left us going, okay, it's gonna be a defensive matchup. And then old Joe Flacco coming in off the couch decides he's gonna throw for another 300 yards, and like it was absolutely not what I expected and crazy, but kudos to Flacco. Like, I mean, if there's a way to seal a comeback player of the year type thing,
oh yeah,
I mean, it's there. It is there. What a story.
Yeah, Flacco, man. I mean, but you look across the board going into that game, like this was the week, and not even against Flacco. It was just like the style of game, two defenses, Thursday night. Like this probably is the week you go elsewhere besides Flacco in your lineup. And man, you look across anybody's rankings, anybody's shows. Like I know there's some out there that made those calls, but 90% of what you saw content-wise was this is the week not to play Flacco. Where do we pivot from Garrett Wilson, who at least got you 9.9 in PPR, which against that defense, what they do at home, you'll take it. The only downfall for me personally and for a lot of people was what Amari Cooper would have done in that game.
Oh, man.
Nobody thought he would do 50. You were playing him like, over Garrett Wilson, and you saw what they did. Like, it's unfortunate he didn't get to play because I know that was tough for a lot of people. But I expected a lot of Ford, a lot of Njoku, and a lot of ground and pound. I really thought the Browns passed the ball the last few weeks because the matchups and the game script led to that. Tough run defenses. I thought this would be the opposite. I thought 35 rush attempts, dog pound, dirty style.
Yep.
Flacco said, no, let me throw for 296 and 3 in the first half.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And they still ran for a couple touchdowns, man, Jerome Ford looks like, man, if you have him in Dynasty, like you're feeling really good because you got him, right? A lot of people were getting him off the waivers.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, man, you're feeling real good, especially if, if Nick Chubb comes back and he's just not looking healthy, or like if they're like, all right, we're going to get 50-50 split. Like Jerome Ford, like
Who's Nick Chubb?
Dude, I don't care. He's still super talented. Like, I love
I'm just
him.
kidding.
Don't you insult that guy like that.
No.
He looks the part, man. He looks the part. Like,
No
he
knock on
legit
Chubb.
looks the
We're
part.
talking about losing one of the best running backs in the NFL and one of the best running backs in fantasy. And it's an afterthought right now that he was even a part of this team, fantasy and, real NFL wise. We're talking about an AFC contender and a running game that is supplying pretty good points across the board. I mean, even in disappointing weeks, that floor for Ford, when you look at the running back position, it's pretty good. And some of that's the running back position, but it is what it is. I mean, who would have thought after Chubb went down that we'd have that in fantasy with Ford and Hunt? And I mean, a little bit.
I'm going to tell you this, and I said it. I mean, almost all shows, all year. When you play for the Cleveland Browns and you have that offensive line, the one thing that they can always do year after year is run the football. They can run the rock. Dearness Johnson, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter who's got the football. Cleveland can run the rock.
Yeah.
I will say, though, like, hats off to Kevin Stefanski and what's going on over there, because they are on their 4th or 5th left tackle right now. They've lost a lot of linemen. They've lost a lot of weapons on that team. He's coach of the year for me, I think, right now, looking across the landscape. Like, you like what KOC's kind of done out there in Minnesota. There's some other good coaching jobs, but does anyone have it better than Stefanski right now? This guy's locked in.
That offensive line, that's what I was going to say on that. That's the thing. The injuries they've had there and still able to get the job done for fantasy managers and just put themselves in a spot where, I mean, I've been saying for the last few weeks before Flacco, I think it was one good game for Flacco, and I said he's going to go into Baltimore and knock this team out of the playoffs on his way to, a playoff run. And it's getting more and more likely the closer we get.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Stefanski,
kudos. Go ahead.
I was going to say Stefanski coached so many different positions. So he played with, he was a coach for the Vikings for 15 years, man. So I'm so upset that they even let him go. I was hoping that they would be like, all right, your turn to be head coach. Man, he's every position and coach, you can coach on the field. He coached that position. So
they were far too loyal.
All this shit, that's the thing is how do you let somebody go from a team that's he's been here so long? How do you just all right, let's see if you could do it? Nope. You're just going to go to Cleveland, maybe take a year to develop. All right. Now he's got this team that's playoff contenders, fucking pisses me off, dude. Vikings somehow just let go of all their great.
Hey, KOC is a good consolation prize in my book, Casey.
He's a really good coach. I like.
All right, so we're gonna hit this chat real quick. We got a lot of people stopping in. Facebook user, that's Texas Trojan over there. What's up, fellas? Hey, boys, Massachusetts football guy. Ben, appreciate you tuning into the show. Amazing. Facebook user, nothing. Albert, sup, Albert? Thanks for all. Texas Trojan chiming in saying that second half is what we expected the game to be. I agree. I can tell you this in a couple championships, the person playing against me had some semblance of Ford, Breece Hall, and Njoku. And everyone, that was some semblance, some pairing of those two players. Luckily, I had the Cleveland defense, which I thought would have a good game playing against the Jets, right? But, I'm sitting here after the first quarter, Njoku has like 4 catches for 114 yards, and I am sweating bullets. I'm like over here. The winner of
Getting
one
hot and
league
bothered.
gets like, yeah, one league gets like 1,200, one league gets $1,000. Like, I mean, it's some money out there, and I'm sitting here like, dang it. And then, the infamous undefeated season, like, rests for this week for me. I in all the years of playing fantasy,
Ooh,
I've never had an undefeated season.
that's tough. That's tough nowadays to do.
It's really tough.
So I'm in a 16-team league. I've made it through regular season undefeated. I made it through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs undefeated because we don't have a first round bye. So I'm 16-0 right now, and I'm in the last game.
Yes,
and it's against freaking Jack. And he had
Jerome Ford.
He had Jerome Ford and I think it was just Jerome
Njoku?
Ford this week. No, he didn't
Yeah,
have
I mean,
Njoku. That's another league.
yeah.
That guy had Njoku and Brees. Luckily,
Oh.
in all of them, I have CMC, and Brees put up 40-something against Washington last week. So I'm feeling like CMC might have a good game. My only worry is they get up quick and then they bench him in the second half
Oh,
to
man.
keep him healthy. But, the second half was, I think, what we expected. I think it was a lot slower, nothing really happened. We saw a lot of turnovers. Flacco had a pick, agreed there. Let's see. Now, would you agree with this? Massachusetts football's the guy says, I may just play Flacco over Dak next week.
Oh, what kind of sick? So I was actually wondering this. I was going to put out a poll on Twitter earlier today. How many people are playing in week 18? Because I want to know, should I gear my week 18 content towards week 18, or should it be like, early 2024 content? So it's cool to hear that someone is playing into week 18 here. That's going far, though. That is going far with all the way over Dak Prescott. I don't even know who are playing here.
The Cowboys play the Commanders, and I believe the Browns play the Bengals.
No,
I mean, they're both great matchups.
Here's my issue with
matchups.
I feel like you got to play anybody against the Commanders.
You saw what Dak did against the Commanders in the first game, and I think this game's going to be more important for Dallas. I don't think Cleveland necessarily loses, but they just clinched the playoffs. You see the celebration. Like, this is a letdown spot for the Browns. Like, not season.
Good call.
Just on the week. Like, I'd be a little leery of them as a team. You got Njoku in the parking lot afterwards doing shots with the crowd, which is awesome. But, like, those are just the kind of things that lead to a game. And the Bengals, I think, probably will be out of it, but it's a division game. And
Flacco's doing every interview he can today, too. But
Flacco's trying to win that, comeback player of the year. So he might be like, all right, I'm going to go out and throw for another 350 yards and we'll see what happens.
But over Dak, I don't know, man. I hear he again, we all sat him this week, and he's sitting in people's 23rd, 24th ranking headed into week 17. So, I don't disagree with that, but all things, I can't start him over Dak.
I know.
Not against Washington. If it was anybody else.
Week 18, let me ask you guys, because traditionally we didn't play week 17, right? Because we just started 18 games. But we didn't play that last week because we had Peyton Manning type teams going 13-3, 14-2. Those games didn't matter. But now the parity of the NFL is so tight. Do you think we should transfer back to that last week, or are we just getting too gray for when that happens? Because
17 is good enough. I think at this point, a lot of people are honestly just getting a little burnout. That I think pushing it. It's a great conversation, though, because I think you're 100% right, Evan. It's a lot more competitive, and also they've shrunk down those top 2 seeds, and now there's not as many teams locked into those positions. So, I think it is a lot more competitive. But I don't think I could go to 18 anymore. Do you guys have any 18 leagues going on?
Nope.
No, I don't do week 18. There's too much likelihood. We're seeing it already. So I'm in a super flex league, and I've got Jalen Hurts as my top quarterback, and then I've got T-Law, and who's going to be out this week, and then I've got Russ, who they just benched because they don't want to hurt. So I've got to resort to QB4, and we gonna roll with the stash, Gardner Minshew.
Yes.
That's all you
I
can
want the
do.
shake, dude. We need the Harlem shake from dude. I like when he shakes when he runs into the end zone. It's so good. It's such a it's just so good.
Hey, I benched Flacco for Gardner last night after Amari went out. I didn't feel great about either one of them, so I got to ride Gardner as well into a championship. Like my quarterbacks, I don't know about you guys this year, but I have 5 championship teams, and all my quarterbacks are like Baker Mayfield on the good end. I got a lot of Joe Flacco. I'm rolling out Gardner Minshew. Like the quarterback position has just been absolutely insane, and I was even a guy who punted on quarterbacks in most drafts too.
It's
Yeah, no, I did
pretty
the same.
crazy. A lot of injuries. I think so. Here's my thought on that. I feel like since they've gone to this longer year, more games, less pre-games, we
Yeah,
have less amount of people playing together. So the chemistry, almost feels like it takes a few weeks for, games to get
sure.
going. And then we start seeing more and more injuries because there's less playing time, full on hardcore game, team against team, not these, I guess, we get those like, all right, we're going to go play a scrimmage, right, against another team. Like that's a little bit different, right, against a real game and, like way different, like now you start getting into a longer season, like these players get way more wore down. Like I kind of miss, longer preseason, less games, less injuries. Like even with full impact, way more impact, we saw less injuries, right? I feel like there's way more injuries this year.
So keep us moving forward. As you guys know, this show is from the forum. It is our show, our Q&A show. So make sure you light up the chat with questions. We're about to get to yours here in a second, Ghost. But this is your time to ask questions. And we're going to answer questions from fantasyfootballadvice.com. Fantasyfootballadvice.com is our fantasy football only social media platform, free to join. We do have awesome pro membership options, but free to join and hang out. All of these guys are there answering questions, hanging out. We have league classifieds, which are going to start lighting up going into the year. So there'll be tons of people looking to start up.
Super excited
leagues.
about those. I've been talking with people, and because there's so many people out here nowadays who aren't in the most competitive leagues, they're joining a lot of public leagues. And by this time of year, like the public leagues, let's be honest, they're kind of cheeks. But being in with people who are chatting on the forum, that it's where it's at. So sorry to interrupt, Tyler, but
No, we're excited about it. And this will be our first, we came into this, fantasyfootballadvice.com started the beginning of this year, right as season started. So we saw some redraft leagues, but man, I'm excited to see the dynasty content. I'm excited to see the dynasty, opportunities pop up. So, it's going to be fun. But anyways, go to fantasyfootballadvice.com and join. We're about to flip over there right now and answer a question from Houday 2023. Houday wants to know, championship week, have DJ Moore slated at wide receiver 1 and Zay Flowers with Lamar Jackson as wide receiver 2. With help with the flex, do you go Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, or George Pickens?
Well, my option would have already played here. I definitely would have probably fired up Garrett Wilson. Just a little bit of bias. It's hard to trust Watson off that injury, and the matchup is awesome for George Pickens too. Seattle just kind of can't get that secondary together. JC, I think you'd be a little bit more plugged in than I would. Like they have talent out there. You love Reek Woolen, you love Devin Witherspoon, but it just seems like they are bleeding points to that position still this far in the season.
100%. Yeah, I feel like George Pickens can get some points here. If you didn't play Wilson, I think Watson's your last resort here. Like, regardless of him maybe coming back off an injury, like we don't know, like he could get injured again. Like it's just been crazy for him this year. Like,
yeah,
I feel like Jaden Reed's the guy now. Yep. Dobbs has been great. Like Christian Watson's kind of that. You're hoping for a big touchdown from him. Pickens is getting some. He's been creating some separation. He's been doing really good. He's been very well.
I'm with you. I am firing up the Pittsburgh George Pickens this week. Last week, almost 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, both both of Mason Rudolph's touchdowns came off passes to George Pickens. So the world is wondering, is this the quarterback that's finally going to give him shot to be the wide receiver one? We all know and expect him to be, that he's throwing fits on the sideline because he says, I'm that dude. Give me the ball. I want to see more of that. It was electric last week. I don't know. Evan, how did you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, again, it was a 10-yard pass on the first drive, that he did the rest of the work. And no knock on it. That's part of the game. I mean, you got a guy that can do that, but it's not sustainable throughout, matchup to matchup. Hell of a performance. I don't like either of those guys out of these. I would have played Garrett Wilson here as well, even though I tried everything in my power
Cleveland?
to. Yes, with Watson and Pickens, yes. I think Seattle – I disagree a little bit. Seattle was 25th in fantasy points against wide receivers weeks 1 through 8. From 8 to 16, they're 10th in points allowed to wide receivers. They've actually been a lot better against the pass. Hey, Mason Rudolph, you're not at home. You don't get that hype of being there. You're going on the road to Seattle. I'm not on that train of Pittsburgh being offensive again, and you can run the ball against the Seahawks team. And when Pittsburgh can run the ball, they run the ball 25 to 30 times. Najee will get 15. Warren's going to get his 10. It's a boom or bust with him and Watson in this matchup that I would have just taken the safe floor. But if he didn't play Wilson, I am playing Pickens I think he's a better boom or bust option at this point, from what we've seen. And I think he is anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about before the show, but I think, I was kind of saying Garrett Wilson's kind of like that, Brandon Cooks, right? Or like Hopkins, like a player that can just be great with whatever quarterback's throwing to him. Regardless, he's going to put up numbers. Like even if he gets you 10 points, he didn't get the touchdown, but, he got you 4 or 5 catches for, 60 yards, 70 yards.
So speaking to your point, Evan, last week, even running the ball, so between Najee and Warren, it was over 20, I think it's like 27 touches for both of them. So they still ran the rock. And granted, Pickens did all his work on, I think, only 4 catches, but the boom possibility for there, like I would, and maybe I just believe in Cleveland's defense. Maybe I think that their secondary is better than they are. I personally, like, I can say I wouldn't have gone Wilson. I would have gone Pickens for sure. And I will go Pickens this week in a couple leagues, So, I mean, I would play. Well, let me see if Jamar Chase plays. That may change. I don't want to say that yet.
Just on that point, Tyler, the Bengals too. I mean, we're talking about a team that's 26th most points allowed to the wide receiver position, and just a defense that's been awful. So I don't know if I can transfer that over to what Pickens could do against Seattle. And I'm right there with you. I did not want to play Garrett Wilson. Like I had Amari Cooper in there and Garrett Wilson on my bench. I'm thankful that was the switcheroo. At least I had Wilson to go to. I didn't like it. If you look at my timeline, I talked about what the Browns did at home against wide receivers. I did not want to play Wilson. I'm surprised he got 10, to be honest. But if Pickens doesn't see the end zone, I don't know if he sees 10 points in this matchup. Wilson finds the end zone last night. We're talking about a 17-point game in as bad of a game and matchup that it was. So I don't know, man. I don't like the Pittsburgh passing offense this week. I know you're playing Mason Rudolph in a couple too, aren't you?
Oh, wow.
I'm not, but I'm still. I mean, I like Pickens for a touchdown. That's where Rudolph was looking. He was looking at Pickens like first read in the red zone. So like, I don't know. That's just where I'm at. We can agree to disagree on that, Evan. It may be the first time on the show, but
I hope he has Pickens because if he gets the touchdown, he gets more points. It's not like Wilson lit up the scoreboard and now you're like, damn, Wilson got me 20 and I got to play one of these guys.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'll take my chances at more than 10 points after the fact.
I'm going to say it's after Christmas. Rudolph has gone to Brett, gone to back to bed.
God, here we go. I got to stop this before it happens. All right, let's go to the next question. Ghost, what's up, fellas? Hey, man, thanks for tuning in. Hey, make sure y'all like and subscribe to this video. We got a doozy from Ghost. In PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. T. Higgins, Noah Brown, Javonte Williams, Ty Chandler, Zamir White, CEH. So as far as wide receiver, we got 2 options there: T. Higgins or Noah Brown.
It's T. Higgins all the way, right? I don't think it's much of a debate. I wrote him off as the biggest bust of the year a couple weeks ago, and I'm kind of starting to eat that a little bit. 2 straight wide receiver 1 performances for him. And do we know if L'Jarius Sneed's going to be active in this game? If he's not, that could open up some more of this Bengals offense. And I would prefer if there was no Jamar Chase personally. I know some people would maybe feel better that he would draw coverage away, but I think either way, this is a game you're getting attached to. So I think it's 100% T. Higgins. And any digression from you guys?
No, T. Higgins for me all the way. I don't chase or no chase. I don't think you can really run the ball that well against this defense either. They're going to throw 35 times. And yeah, slice it how you want. No chase, he gets more. With chase, life is easier. I'm looking at 8 targets for Higgins probably in a good game and a chance to find the end zone. So it's not close.
Yeah, I think we agree on the wide receiver. Now, flex gets really convoluted. It gets convoluted. What do you think, JC? Give me your flex option out of these.
So I don't mind here going, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, this could be something, he's getting this opportunity, right, to be the guy. I mean,
I'm laughing because I'm sitting here. I'm like, this is going to be a doozy. Nobody's going to agree. And you're like, man, I like CEH. And they're both like, my dude, yeah.
I mean,
preach, amen, brother.
It's finally his time, dude, to be the man. Like we've been waiting for this time, and it's here. It is.
Let me chime in real quick, Seth, because I read your article.
Oh, I appreciate it,
and it's great, by the way. Go check it out. I mean, Seth is an amazing writer, so go check out that article.
Thanks, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I said earlier in the week when these guys were on, I brought up CEH and Tyler. Kyle, all of them were just like, no way. And I love seeing Seth's article. Listen, this guy is going to get 15 plus carries. He's had 3 or more catches in each of the last 3 games, and he's getting a Bengal defense that has just been Ty Chandler torched him. Everybody, Najee torched him. Like, he's the guy. McKinnon on IR, he's going to be a 3-down back in an Andy Reid offense that's struggling to throw the football. I like Chandler and White this week too. I really don't put them that far behind, but I think this is a big week for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And when you told me Seth was going to be on the show, I was stoked because I saw the article and was like, yes, I have a CEH partner in crime to back me up. And now I know JC's on it. So I was stoked. Yeah. I'm like, yes, let's go. I want some CEH questions, but yeah, you can't go wrong there. I think for me, it's Edwards-Helaire. Probably in that order backwards. Edwards-Helaire, White, Chandler, Williams.
I think you're spot on here, Evan. I mean, when you look at the Chiefs, what they're doing right now, they still want to run the ball in some capacity, averaging just about 100 yards per game. And Mahomes is targeting the shit out of these running backs. 17.6% of his targets are going to that position. You can run on this Bengals defense. Like, it's the only show in town, JC. Like, are they really going to trust LaMichael P. Ryan when they really need to get a W here?
No. And so I agree 100%, man. I'm going Clyde here, but I think Ty Chandler would be my 2, like behind those 2. So I think that, they got Green Bay this week, right? So I think they're going to run the ball a lot more than they're going to throw. I mean, they will throw, but I mean, you got
Jaron Hall's out there. Yeah, I don't know how much they want to chuck it.
So here's the thing, like you guys, before Jaron Hall got hurt, he was what, 6? So he had 6 pass attempts, five completions, and I think it was for like 75 yards.
Yeah, he was balling out. I mean,
he was doing really well, and he just got smashed running into the end zone, and he got a concussion. I mean, like he legit was about to run in for a touchdown, like, and he already had like a couple rush attempts. Like I feel like he looked pretty good before he got knocked out. He actually, if you look at his stats, they were actually better than Dobbs' stats were by the end. Just Dobbs had a couple rushing touchdowns, like. But I think it's okay. I think that Jaron Hall will do good. I just think that you'll see some Ty Chandler. Like Ty Chandler will catch the ball. Like he'll run the ball. Like I think he'll get a lot of opportunities here. I think that's how they'll run it more, especially against Green Bay. It's going to be that smash. You're going to see a lot more defense in this game. You're going to see a lot of running. I think Aaron Jones gets a lot of work too.
So, Seth, do you like Chandler or White more this week?
What's the status of Josh Jacobs? Is he totally out of the
He's
picture?
he's doubtful. They don't think he's going to play. White was actually probably. I mean, the guy had 145 yards last week against freaking, the Chiefs. Like, I mean, he dominated the ground game. 22 carries, 145 yards. Like, if he finds the ends, I mean, it was like 17 points without him finding the end zone.
Mhm.
You
And
know,
the
then you
Colts
take
have
this
been
week and you put him against the Colts. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
could have a
Yeah, I
blowout.
don't mind that.
Yeah, Colts number two best matchup for running backs over the past month. I'm really looking, what have you done for me lately as far as the defenses go? I don't care as much for season long right now, but so I think I would probably go White if there is in fact no Jacobs, but you can't go wrong. I mean, Joe Barry's defense cannot stop shit either. Like you have golden options all the way around, and I mean,
yeah.
hell, Javonte is actually a pretty good rip this week too. Like you have to expect Stidham to check it down more. And it's not a bad matchup for him either. So I'm totally fine with all these options, but I'm definitely after CEH. I am White, Chandler, and then Javonte.
Yeah, I like Chandler a little more before the Hall move because I feel like Hall's mobility, like Chandler didn't get a target last week, and I thought they'd go back to that more this week, plus the matchup with Green Bay. But now I'm like, well, if Jaron Hall takes off and Chandler doesn't get that pass work, I still like him, though. I mean, Hubbard had 16 attempts against this defense. He's getting at least 16. And I like Javonte, too, man. I mean, that's a hell of a foursome you got right there for this week, especially.
I'm with you guys, except for I'm swapping White and CEH. That's just me, a little bit of personal bias there. I have this feeling that just Mahomes is going to come out and try to sling the rock. He's in his feels. He's feeling emotional. He needs to do something. Travis Kelce played angry last game. And so I'm just expecting, I feel like I'm expecting them to light it up. To be honest, that's what I'm expecting. And with Vegas, I don't see them trying to light up. I see them trying to control the game. That's what, that the coach has done since the shift. They've dominated games. They've kept Aiden O'Connell, relevant, doing it that way and using the run game, but I mean, either way, I mean, kudos for you for having these options, because the reality is your floor between even the last three is probably 15 points. You're probably going to have a good week either way. In fact, I don't know that I'm not looking at it and seeing if these are your guys that you're thinking about for your flex, who the hell do you have in your running back spots? Because they better be balling.
Mm-hmm.
You got CMC and Brees in your running back spots.
Hey, side note on that, I might take those four guys and throw them in an anytime TD parlay.
There you go.
There you go.
Don't mind them at all.
Okay, so Texas Trojan, no way I should bench Goff for Levis or Stidham.
Nah, dude, that's getting too cute. I mean, Jared Stidham has been a relative baller when we've seen him as of late, and you do like Will Levis a little bit against Houston. They're kind of just getting back healthy, but I'm okay with Goff this week. I think it's getting a little too cute, boys.
So even you feel safe with the matchup?
I'm all right with it. Dallas has given up some points, man. Let's not forget a couple of weeks ago on Thursday Night Football, Geno Smith lit him up. I mean, Tua hasn't done shit lately, so I wasn't surprised with the performance Tua gave you, but I'm not running from Jared Goff, man. This is a high over under on the slate as well. You want a part of those games. This is what you want a part of.
Yeah.
Where's this game at?
That game's in Dallas.
Yeah, I don't know.
At least Goff is playing on the road in a dome. He's much worse outside. He is drastically worse outside. He's been better in domes. I know the Cowboys are elite at home. It's probably a get right spot for him, but still, JC, are you kind of feeling the letdown after winning the division maybe?
So I'm trying to look back. So last week I said avoid Tua because they're going up against the Cowboys. If you go back, look at what Josh Allen did, right? Josh Allen the week before finished as QB 15-16.
That was a weird game though.
Dallas. No, but we saw what happened, right? They ran the shit out of the ball. James Cook had 203 yards rushing or something like that, 2 touchdowns. But then the next week, right? Guess what? Mostert comes out, puts up a big week against Dallas. So guess what happens? Tua puts up a shitty ass week, back-to-back weeks where you have top 10 quarterbacks, finishing, outside the top 14. So, I mean, it's a potential this week where Goff gets the same treatment, right? And you see Jahmyr Gibbs just absolutely eat. Him and Montgomery just absolutely eat this week.
Super valid. Super valid.
What were Mostert's numbers last week?
I can look. I mean,
because while you look that up,
I got him.
Mostert didn't do great.
11 for 46.
He didn't do great.
Right.
But, I mean,
here's the thing about that Buffalo Dallas game. It was a letdown spot for Dallas on the road. Buffalo was amped up in a must win, and it was over when it started, and James Cook just ran it down their throat. And then everybody wants to crown Buffalo. And if the Chargers could catch the football, they'd have lost that game to the Chargers after everybody crowned them. So I don't think we can put that much weight in it. My issue, Dallas is going to score on this Detroit defense. Dak has lit up every bad pass defense all season long, all year and recently, Seth, right? Especially at home. I think Detroit's going to have to score the football. So even if Goff has a pick or two, he's throwing the ball 35 times here. He's got to nail some down. It's too cute for me too. I'm not pushing Goff like a top week, but I'm trusting that high over under, like you said, and it is a little too cute for me to go Levis or Stidham. Although I can see Stidham lighting up this Charger defense.
Same.
Like just no care in the world. Go out there and sling it. No pressure. It's not like the Bills after a big win. Like that's when we see it. But I'm not banking my chip on Stidham doing that. Like I just got to go out with Amon-Ra, Gibbs, Laporta, and those weapons and hope that Goff, and it's a 45-35 game,
What's going to be more fun and what can you live with for the next year of your life? I think that's what you need to tell yourself a little bit.
Because, Stidham.
Yeah, I can't do it, man.
Let her rip, baby.
That's the best way to answer.
This is why I had to come. So JC wasn't over here telling our guy Texas Trojan to fire up fucking Jared Stidham here.
You're gonna be what's his name?
Oh,
Jack Sparrow, dude, on the ship, like rolling in as the ship's going down in the sea, but you're still happy as shit, dude.
Yeah. So, in other words, Jared Stidham, no. All right, got it.
Goff could still kill you.
All right, so he had Hall and Joku in the Jets defense, Cleveland's defense. So good go there.
Crown him.
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
Go, baby.
Texas Trojan coming in. Cowboys may not be playing for anything, so starters could rest. Of course, same with the Browns. We are seeing that, but I don't know that they'll rest because there are still everybody's tight, so seeding matters. I feel like you got teams that are playing for better positional spots in the playoffs. In the NFC, it's not really closed yet on who the number one seed's going to be.
Everyone's honestly still very much in it. And I mean, the Cowboys do have a lot to still play for though, right? Like the Eagles, if they happen to drop a game here, I don't know who has the tiebreaker between Dallas and Philadelphia, but I mean, they could both very easily finish with 5 losses.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And on that I believe he's talking about next week with, Dak and Flacco, obviously. Yeah. If the Ravens win this game against Miami, the Browns can't win the division anymore. Where the Cowboys, I think, can still be playing for the division. And I think the Ravens win that game, which adds more to the Browns' letdown of we're not really changing spots. We're locked into this wild card position. I don't think they really care who they go play. The Cowboys, I think, are going to be in a spot. They win this game against Detroit, and they're in a spot to win that division and be, a 2 seed.
All right, so who am I sitting? Devontae Adams, A-Chain, or Eckler?
A-Chain.
Oh, these all kind of suck, honestly, but A-Chan's my sit of the week for me. Like all of his big spots have just come in blowouts, whether that's Miami winning or losing. All 4 of them have come in
out. What do you think about that?
Oh, I guess that is true. That does complicate.
Waddle's out. I mean, so he gets a lot of passing. I mean, receiving opportunities too, right? So there's that potential where they go, bring two running backs in, let him go. I mean, but Smythe, we saw what Smythe did last week too, right? I mean, I mean,
Durham.
so we never know with this offense.
I
mean,
I think it's just so hard with a bad matchup too. I get worried. The Ravens only allowed 4 rushing touchdowns this season to opposing running backs. That's the second fewest in the NFL by a pretty wide margin. So I just think I'm kind of afraid of the matchup a little bit as well. So who would you sit then, JC? Would it be Eckler
against the worst run defense in the league?
I mean, it's still awesome. I mean,
that's what it's Denver. Eckler against Denver.
I don't love it.
Not just Denver, man. You look last week, you thought with the coaching change, maybe Eckler's usage would go even farther down as they revamp towards next year. But this guy's name is, he gave Austin Eckler more work than he's seen all season long. So why would that change this week? He had 10 for 51 against these Broncos. He had 5 catches for almost, 50 yards in the first matchup, found the end zone. Like, usage up, those numbers, the matchup, I think I got to trust a guy who has had 5 20-point on the season. I know he's a letdown for a top 5 pick, but he's still an RB2, and he's in a heavy favorable matchup where his usage numbers were up last week. And, I think Achane gets some catches, but CMC had 5 catches, but for less than 30 yards. I think Baltimore gobbles up, those receptions, holds the yards, and they don't allow a lot of run games. So I think Achane gets the work. It's nice that Waddle's out. And, yeah, that's my thing with Eckler, man, is I just think it has to be Achane of these 3.
I think that's fair. Let's
Agreed.
see. Keep moving on. We got Thielen or CEH. I think this is probably pretty easy. I think it's probably CEH across the board.
Yeah, everyone's getting targets now. It's like super weird in this Carolina offense. You don't really want to trust it. We saw DJ Chark have a fucking day. 8 targets, and the week before it was Jonathan Mingo. Mingo was kind of going off there with after this coaching staff. Like, don't play fucking games with. I'm not playing games with Commanders this week and the Panthers outside of Chuba Hubbard, but like I just don't want to fucking touch these teams.
So let me ask you this: is Chuba Hubbard start for you this week?
If he's ready to go, like he's a borderline number 2 running back, it's hard to get away from him. If you might have better options. It depends what you have in the back pocket, but hard to get away from any running back playing 20 plus attempts. So if he's healthy, I'm all right with it.
All right. Brian Jerkins, Stroud or Fields this week, and then Zamir White or Chandler in flex PPR.
I think we kind of got into that Zamir White Chandler talk.
Yeah, I think we were White over Chandler.
Earlier.
We've talked about that, but Fields or Stroud? Stroud may, it looks like he's going to be healthy. It looks like he's going to play this week.
Stroud.
Fields.
If Stroud's playing, I'm playing him.
Yeah, I like the matchup better. You don't love, like, I was seeing Edwin Porras put out some information about players just regressing a little bit in the first game after concussion. So I don't think the ceiling is as high for Stroud as it usually is, but Justin Fields versus Atlanta, I don't really love that matchup at all. I just kind of see that being a little bit of a slog.
Yeah,
so sweet. Here's the thing. Here's my thought on it. Stroud is also going for, Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, it's a great point.
So to me, it's like regardless, I feel like he's going to do whatever he can. We got to look at what this kid's done this year, right? If you go back and look at the last, I think 12, 13 years, there's only been 2 quarterbacks that have been Rookie of the Year, which is pretty crazy, right? We think about a lot of quarterbacks.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Wow. So yep. So
good call.
Good call. I think this kid is going to come out shooting like he's shooting to be that guy. So he can come out finish strong. I think that he's got that mindset. I was talking to Tyler. We're card collectors. I said, man, people the next year they're going to be thinking about, okay, this is the next Mahomes, right? This is like that guy that everyone's thinking like this is the next like guy. And if we're thinking about this year, next year, it's wild, right?
Wow.
For rookies. So you gotta think about this next year. If the Texans are playing for like in the championship next year, or they're like people are gonna be like, this is the next guy. And I'm saying like these cards are gonna be like Stroud, like
You're
CJ
getting in now.
Stroud cards.
JC is getting in
I'm
now.
telling
He's
you,
buying
dude.
it. He's
Stroud
fucking
cards, man,
selling
be
old
invested. I'm
shit.
telling you, like,
He's
he's
getting
great,
them now.
man. This kid's great. Like he's made like he's that quarterback. He's like Stafford. He's like making wide receivers that we didn't think were gonna be like great players.
I thought it was
great.
the worst wide receiver core in
You
the
know what I'm
league.
saying?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm seeing with him, is like he's like that next like quarterback that could like help players be super relevant.
It's a great point. Honestly, great promo there, JC. And like, I'll just say, like, coming into this, like, I like Tank Dell. I had Tank Dell rostered in quite a few dynasty leagues. I had him in some deep redrafts, but I didn't expect to see what we saw out of him. Nico Collins has proved everyone wrong. Noah Brown, yeah,
dude.
And like even like Devin Single, like Stroud, just I don't know if like he seems like a great guy to have in that locker room too. Like everyone aside from Dameon Pierce has just ascended into stars. So yeah, hey, even Dameon Pierce having shake and bacon on the kickoff last weekend.
Yeah, dude.
Finding a way to impact the game through special teams, because he never made it out of the fantasy basement.
Let him be a returner.
Hey, even Dalton Schultz, man, a reliable tight end there. You know, I mean,
Schultze.
Had success in Dallas, then he was hurt. I think people kind of wrote him off as well. And Houston just kind of, hey, we'll give you a 1-year deal. And he's had some good games. And
Brevin Jordan's even looked lit when Schultz has been out too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
and I mean, Stroud, obviously, you know, we've seen. I mean, Stroud won't make the mistakes, man. He'll throw the ball to the open receiver and throw it right to your basket, man. Make sure you catch it. So a lot is on him. So yeah, it's Stroud for me. I think, like Seth said, like Chicago should win this game at home, but they're just probably going to make it ugly. You know, Atlanta hasn't been as good against the run. They'll probably slop it up running the ball. Fields will run, but you always have that rushing upside. But if Stroud plays, you're telling me he's good to go, and I'm starting my quarterback against the Titans this year. I mean,
yeah, that secondary's been rough. I'm with it. Skills coming in the chat. James Conner or James Cook? JC or JC? Which JC you going with, JC?
I'm going Connor, dude. He's just like way more explosive coming out. You know, like it took him a little bit to come back. I don't know, man. I just think that this kid's looked great. I mean, Cook had a great, a pretty decent matchup coming out here, right? And he just fucking flopped. I mean, we saw him just go, woo, and then he literally went, woo, right back down dude the next week. And you're just like, frick, dude. I don't know about that. I mean, Connor's looked good, man. He just took him a little bit to kind of get going, and just like he's just like, I think Connor's just strong, man. There's something about Connor. He's got that willpower. I mean, you see him like working out in the woods. Like he always, every offseason, you see him throwing freaking tree trunks over his head. You're like, all right, this kid's got like some grit, dude. He's going to go out there and put everything he can into that ball. I mean, James Cook, man, like if you have him in Dynasty, I'm happy for you. But man, after seeing him go like way up and then just drop like that, like that's something I don't know if I'm trying to trust in my playoffs this week. I mean, or, you know, the championship. I mean, I like Connor, man.
Yeah, I've struggled with Connor this week on whether or not I've got him in like every league, every one of my dynasty leagues. I've struggled with whether I to play him or like play like a Chuba Hubbard or a Zeke Elliott, you know, and you know, even like a David Montgomery, right? Like there's a lot of people there that are in that tier, and I'm wondering, like, do I like this player over this player? You know, right now I have Zeke slated over Connor. 11 targets last week, 9 catches. You know, semi-soft matchup this week. You know, I like Zeke, but I mean, do you take Connor over that slate, or are there any of those you put above him? Just trying to figure out where your rankings are.
I have Connor below Zeke. I have Connor below James Cook by a wide margin. I still think James Cook's honestly an RB1 this week. Like, JC, I get the concerns, man. I mean, it was pretty god awful last week. It's hard to trust New England's actually been a pretty decent matchup against running backs. They're actually a plus matchup right now, only like 2 or 3 spots behind the Eagles. So you've been able to beat them a little bit here. We saw the Chiefs guys do it a couple weeks ago. Like, I'm all right with James Cook, man. Like, this is the way that their offense wants to run with Joe Brady, and it's worked in the past. And I know that it was a shit show last Saturday. I don't know what was happening in that entire game. I think I was just kind of a one-offer. So I'll go James Cook here over Connor, but Zeke's in that mix too. Like, I just want the one guy. Can there be one guy who's getting, like, Amari DiMercado is still getting a lot of run, and we're even seeing a little Michael Carter. It's just he looks sprung though. I give you that, JC. He's looking like he's shooting out of a fucking cannon all of a sudden again.
I don't know, man. I'm just looking back, dude. So, week 13, he gets Pittsburgh, 22.5 points. Then they get the bye week. Then they get San Francisco. He puts up 17 points. Then they get Chicago, and he puts up 22 points. I mean, they're getting Philly. He's getting Philly this week. I mean,
you make a compelling case.
I don't know why he's so low on your rankings. I mean,
dude, no, it's not low at all. I have Zeke.
You just get chugging again. He was hurt. He was out for a while, right? He comes back after 4 weeks, gets Atlanta, Houston, the Rams, and then after that he gets Pittsburgh, and people are like, all right, that's a pretty tough matchup. All right, he goes out and puts some massive points up. Bye week, big points again. I mean,
I have Zeke at 14, and I have Zeke at 14, and I have Connor at 16. So they're right in that same range. Like, I like them both a lot. James Cook,
I'm just trying to be the thorn, all right?
Hey, that's all right. That's all right. Evan, split the difference here for us.
Oh man, So I'm in the same boat with some of these guys, especially with Zeke and Monty. But on these guys, man, like, yeah, the Eagles season long are not a good matchup, but we talk about what have you done for me lately, and let's just look at the last 8 weeks. I mean, they're only 11th best, like, schedule adjusted points allowed, over expectation in their matchups. They are a much better matchup, but there's just a little piece of me, like, Saturday night. Okay, one thing the Chargers did really well, every time Cook came out of the backfield, the Chargers threw everything they had at James Cook. If you go back and watch film of that game, like, they just were not going to let Cook beat them. And I don't think the Bills were ready for that. I don't think that happens twice again. I just think they find a way. And I said this about 6 weeks ago. James Cook is the key to the engine that makes the Bills offense run. And I think they know that. I think they find a way to make sure they use him in a tough game against New England. It's a slight edge for me. I'm going James Cook just a little bit here. And I hope I'm wrong, because I'm playing against James Cook in a championship.
Okay, you're biased. But
I'm picking the guy.
Yeah.
I'll be the other bias. So I have no shares of James
I'm
Cook.
picking the guy that's playing against me, though, so that's not bias.
I have no shares of James Cook. I have a lot of shares of James Conner. So in the spirit of hopefulness and fingers crossed, Connor is going to come out and manhandle this week.
Good stuff.
All right. Oh, man, that's hilarious. Awesome. All right, so keep moving.
Flip a coin.
Yeah. I mean, it's a struggle. You get to week 17 and you're like, you're debating over these players that you've, ran all year. Yeah. And, for me, so, like, in a couple of my dynasty leagues, I trade a lot. I move players. I buy low. I sell high, and I find talent that I like and I roll that way. And so what that creates is extremely deep rosters for me as far as talent goes, which then creates the conundrum of actually picking matchups every week. Like, I feel like it's much easier when you got some studs, you throw your studs in and you just ride, right? Like, you just ride it, the wave, how it goes, it goes. When you get really deep, then you're debating with yourself, like, this week, do I want to play Tyler Lockett or do I want to play George Pickens? Do I want to play T. Higgins? Do I want to play DeAndre Hopkins? And, like, you're, like, battling with these players that are, like, really tight, and it stresses you the heck out. You know what I mean? It just, and I'm thankful, this, even being on here and answering these questions for everybody helps me also kind of dissect my thoughts in my mind as I go through the week.
Oh, it's great to hear the other perspectives, man. Like,
yeah.
everybody thinks differently, right? Everyone researches differently. Everyone kind of like everyone kind of finds little things that somebody else didn't hear, and you're like, oh, maybe I didn't look at that perspective. Now I'm going to look at it this way now. Like that's what's great about having multiple different minds, kind of connect. So.
And that's what it's for, right? It's not to be told what to do. It's like to have an idea and then just get as much info as you can and make
your own
the best decision. Is it a good decision? Is it too cute? I will say too, Connor's going all the way to Philadelphia for a 10 o'clock game. And those Bears-Steelers matchups were much more favorable than this one. No discredit.
James Connor's going to go out there and ring that Liberty Bell. Throw the Liberty Bell over his head.
Pennsylvania kid, baby, narrative street.
There you go.
And I think that's a great point too that you guys made. Like, we can give you all this advice, but at the end of the day, Skills, like you got to trust your gut on this one, especially when it's a call like this where you have 4, I can't count myself as a knowledgeable analyst, but 3 knowledgeable analysts and me split on this. Like, that's when you kind of just go with the gut, man. Like who can you go down losing with, I think is the biggest question. But your team must be pretty fucking good if you're picking between these two guys. Cause I would love to have them in all my lineups.
Yeah. It's so big, like you don't want to look back and be like, I listened to somebody else and I lost my championship. Like you want to go with your gut so you can know you rode on your shoulders. So if you had any kind of inclination, whoever you already had preset in your lineup, like that's who you're rolling with. Minus if there's some kind of injury or something. Sure. It's just too close. They're similar. Both could have a 7-point game. Both could have a 22-point game. It's close. Even in set like in a 32 team league and Seth's running back rankings, he had him separated by what, 3 spots?
Yeah.
It's yep. So I mean it's tight, so again, I love to go with your gut call. And sometimes fantasy's that way.
Play like somebody who would like, all right, at that point, if it's like flip a coin, who would you rather watch? Or is there somebody you're betting on? If there's a bet you're going to make, like just play that player because you're already betting on them. Like that's like something, all right, I want to watch this player. So I'll just play them.
All right. So that happens to me on Thursday Night Football or something like that. Like if I have somebody not playing, sometimes I'm tempted just so I have somebody to cheer for in the game.
Yeah.
It's bad. All right. So non-PPR, pick 1 running back, 1 flex. In Nico Collins, White, Connor, Monty, starting Olave, Ayuk, CMC. So 1 running back, White, Connor, or Monty. Rapid fire. Man, that's really fast.
It's Zamir White. It's Zamir White for me. I'll go out there on the balls of your limb. It's Zamir White this week. I know it's a tough call, but he's going to get the volume. I know it's not PPR, but this Indy run defense has been really bad. PPR would be better.
Wow.
Monty could just fall behind. I'm fearful that Dallas takes the lead and we just see a lot of Gibbs. We saw Monty nowhere to be found in the second half of that game last week. Does that carry over? I don't know. And I'm a Monty owner as well. Like, I don't like that, but he was not anywhere to be found. And if they get behind, he's kind of irrelevant to this offense. I don't like that in a game in Dallas where they've been so good. And when I look at the matchup for White and Connor, I know Connor's going to get the volume, but I think White gets the same volume, and I just trust the Indy matchup a little more than that Eagle matchup.
Yeah.
For me, you already know where I'm going. I think I'm going Connor. That's just, I think, where I'm at still.
Hey, man, you roll with your guy. You
ring that Liberty Bell, baby. Ring that bell all night
long. He's eating Philly cheesesteaks and hucking Liberty Bells, dude.
Dallas has actually been a pretty good matchup for running backs, but at least the last 4 weeks. But I'm with Evan in that I don't like the game script for Montgomery. Zamir White is intriguing, and I think there's a lot to like about him this week. But I think I'll tiptoe over the line here with my boy JC, and I'll go James Conner as well. The non-PPR throws me off.
Let me ask you this: in the flex, are you playing Nico Collins, or are you going to go take the other? Are you rolling White and Connor, or are you going Nico and Connor then?
I mean, after the fucking promo that JC just cut of Stroud, I don't think I can go against Nico Collins, even in non PPR.
100, I agree. Dude, Collins, man. If CJ's out there, I'm rolling Collins out there.
All right,
So
we
you
got a
think
couple more
Collins-
questions.
Just quick question on that. You think Collins? I think I'm there with you guys, but you think Collins has a better chance at finding the end zone over one of those other running backs?
I think Zamir White gets a touchdown this week. I mean,
Yeah,
I would
he's
lock it.
Because if White and Connor, I'm looking at White and Connor both getting 15 carries.
Yeah, guaranteed touches. I don't mind that too. I mean, if you want to play it safe, I think you go that route. I mean, if you want to play it safe, you go Zamir.
Yeah,
Go for a
Colts have
touchdown,
allowed
you're getting
5
guaranteed
total
touches.
touchdowns to running backs in the last month, so it's a good call. But man, I mean, that Tennessee secondary's been pretty friendly as well.
Secondary's awful, and
Yeah,
Levis
they've
may
allowed-
come out. He may throw the ball. DeAndre Hopkins may have a 150-yard game.
I think if you're going for safety, like if you're looking for a floor play, not foreplay, but floor play, I think you can look at Zamir White. I think that's a good call there, Evan. And I think if I am shooting for upside, though, we know Nico Collins has it, even these non-PPR leagues.
Yeah, Collins could go 150 and 2 touchdowns on 4 catches against this Tennessee team. I see that for sure with the promo and the matchup, for sure. But just saying, we're talking, 15 touches for those two guys. And I mean, not to add more too, but even Monty coming into play, like he is that red zone, guy. But if they're down early, I just don't like it. So I don't know, man. Those are good options though.
All right, so we're coming down to the end of our show. Remember, go to fantasyfootballadvice.com and sign up. Free to sign up. Ask your questions. If we don't get to your questions, we're going to hit a couple more right here at the end. But if we didn't get to your questions, go there. Ask them there. We will get on. We will answer.
Yeah.
And like and subscribe to the video. Thank you so much for tuning in. This show has been a fun one, absolutely, for sure. So full PPR, Singletary, Pollard, Swift, Higgins, Zeke, Oakland. Running backs, please pick 2. So you're picking 2 running backs basically between.
What was T.
He's
Higgins
saying
being
Oakland
in?
running back. So he's probably talking about Zamir
Jacobs
White.
or White.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Got you. Fuck, man. Butter me a biscuit and call me fucking. I'm going T. Higgins and Zeke here for sure, 100%. No, sorry. Swift is there. Swift is higher for me. Damn. Okay, I take it back. Sorry, I apologize. That was terrible. I will go Swift and I will go Zeke. Guaranteed touches. Sorry.
Yeah,
Zeke and White.
Go for it, JC. I'll go
I
last.
think I agree too. So I think in this situation, I like guaranteed touches. I mean, I like Higgins. I think the matchup's good.
It's great. Yeah.
I do like guaranteed touches in the situation. So I think I'm gonna agree with you, Seth.
So you're saying Zeke and Swift?
I don't mind the Zamir White call though. Like I wouldn't hate if you would go one of those, pick between those 3 running backs.
Yeah, I would just say I wouldn't want to play Josh Jacobs if Jacobs is back, because did Zamir White do enough to earn himself a little bit of an opportunity here, even if Jacobs is back? Do they want to see what they have in him? So
I will say, if Jacobs is back, the whole narrative of rolling with Zamir White is completely off. The only way that narrative lives is if Josh Jacobs is out. So I've been talking on that from tonight, going from like looking at it and seeing that he is very doubtful to play in week 17. They're out of the running. I don't think they're trying to rush him back.
They're still very much in it though, for real.
But not as much, right?
Yeah,
like, I mean,
they're more in play for the division than anything.
And losses, like them winning, other teams losing.
They Chiefs to lose out, they'd have to win out.
Yeah,
right. Which way the Chiefs have played, I mean, who knows? That might happen, but I got to think
Denver had a shot, and they're benching Russ.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, but back to that point, I mean, if Jacobs plays, for me. Okay, let's go back. If Jacobs is out, and I think he will be, because it seems like it's gone like this and now it's going this way, so it sounds like he's out. I'm going Zeke and White because the guaranteed volume is there. Like, even Gainwell gets a little play with Philly, like in the passing work. This is full PPR. I think White and Zeke get those catches. If Jacobs is active, I pivot to Swift and Zeke because, like you said, Seth, I think Zamir White gets a little bit of work and it's not a solo show anymore. But this is a solo Zeke, solo White show in good matchups. I mean, Zeke's a good matchup no matter what. Zappy throws him the ball 10 freaking times. So, like
11 times last week.
I think it's Zeke and White for me unless Jacobs plays. Then I'd go Zeke and Swift.
Book it.
Book it.
Love
He said, thank you because my other starters are Debo and Samuel. And last question of the night, and then we are shutting this bad boy down. Carr or Mayfield this week?
Baker.
Fucking Baker Mayfield, and don't.
He's
think
also
twice.
going for comeback player of the year. You gotta think. I'm a narrative guy. Think about this narrative, dude. He's trying to play for comeback player of the year.
That'd be a great pick.
But he's gotta play his heart out.
Well, I think when you just look at what he's been doing as well, like if he didn't take those kneels last week at the end of the game, he's a QB1 3 straight games. You gotta love the matchup against the Saints. They haven't really been as stout as people think as of lately. Like Jared Goff, Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford kind of tore him up last time those two saw him. So yeah, you got to absolutely. And Mayfield did good against him earlier this season. He was a QB1 in that matchup. So I don't mind Derek Carr this week. Actually, I think Derek Carr is kind of a sneaky start, but
I mean, it's
rolling
still
with Baker.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you said, Seth. I like Carr in certain situations too, but I mean, no Lattimore. Evans is definitely going to have a big game. Godwin's been a monster.
Yeah,
like they're at home. Like the Tampa matchup's good for offense too. I like Olave and Carr this week.
Yeah, yeah. Raheed Shaheed.
Yeah, he's probably going to break. He's probably going to beat them deep, I'm sure. And it's also in Tampa, which is a little better for Baker.
Yep.
If it was in New Orleans,
I
might give Carr the nod because it's at home. But this is a must-win game for both these teams. Give me the home quarterback that's on fire, man.
Vibes are high there in Tampa Bay, man. Baker's probably going to be back another year. That's like,
yeah,
I love it.
That was going to be my follow-up. Do you think Baker's their guy? Like, you think they're going to roll?
He has to be, right?
I think they have to.
He's better than Tom Brady was last year. I mean, it just seems like everyone's having a lot of fun playing with him, and I think they have the offense kind of intact here. They might have to see what happens with Chris Godwin and maybe add some depth to that line. But I mean, this is a good team, bro.
Well, earlier in the season, they talked about a coaching change in Tampa. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen anymore. But if they change coaches, that might be the one thing that takes Baker out of town is just a new regime. But this team might win the division. They're not. I don't think they're going to.
Isn't that defense a little old too? That defense is a little old, right?
Oh yeah, they got to rebuild the defense, but I think they have the offense in place other than the O line depth. So
yeah, I have a question. Unless you want on air.
Yes.
Yep. Oh.
Okay, so I need two of the four. Okay, Kenneth Walker, David Montgomery, Zeke, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I'm going the first and last.
Dave Montgomery and Zeke or Clyde?
No, Kenneth Walker, dude. Kenneth Walker is one of my favorite players in the league, so I'm going him.
I had a feeling he'd be your answer, and I know we all like CEH.
And Clyde. On Clyde.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Oh man,
dude, Kenneth Walker, dude. Remember how everyone was like, dude, Charbonnet, he's gonna come in, eat into his workload, blah blah blah. I'm like, and it's like, dude, no.
But Charbonnet is getting some goals. So you're saying so Zeke's on the bench.
It's tough. I don't know. I'm starting. I mean, I'm starting Kenneth Walker. I'm not sitting him.
He is questionable still though. Like he does have that shoulder injury, so I think with Zeke,
if he don't start, then no. But if he starts, I'm starting him.
Yeah, they're back to back for me. CEH is actually I think my favorite start out of this, Evan. But then it's kind of a toss up. But I think Walker has a higher ceiling. But I mean Zeke has a fucking damn good floor. You know, if you're just looking for a fucking floor play, I mean,
pass yards.
Dude, I'm rolling Zeke Let me just elaborate here for everybody. So first of all, 2 weeks ago against Kansas City, he still had 5 receptions, and Kansas City is tough. But in the last 4 games, 5 targets, 4 receptions. Next game, 8 targets, 7 receptions. Next game, 6 targets, 5 receptions. The last game, 11 targets, 9 receptions. He's had 2 passing touchdowns in those last 4 games. Like,
how much rushing? No, what's the rushing yards?
So rushing yards, let's see.
Well,
he's probably averaging about 3 yards a carry.
Full PPR, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 52 yards week 13, 68 yards week 14, 25 against Kansas City. They passed the ball a lot playing from behind. He only had 11 touches that game and on running the ball. And then Denver was rough in the rushing game. He averaged a little over 2 yards a carry on 12 carries. He only had 12 carries, but 11 targets.
If you get 9 catches, that's the rushing yards is irrelevant.
Vegas has the over-under on catches at 4.5. Sleeper has it at 4.5 and 28 yards. So if that hits alone, that's like 7-8 points. They have him at 39.5 yards rushing. So there you go. Then there's another 4 points. You're looking at 11 points just based on expected.
Yeah, it's funny because we're just like back to the point of what we're talking about, like trusting, the gut and getting everybody's opinion. Like it's Zeke and CEH for me, but it's just crazy to think that those 2 guys are in my lineup with Kenneth Walker and David Montgomery sitting on the bench. But I mean,
it's hard to bitch Walker,
it, right? Like Zeke, 83% snaps, 15 carries, and 7 catches over the last 3, like per average. Like, how do you sit a guy that's doing that? So I just interested on your guys' thoughts there. That's all, because Montgomery's been so good. Walker's got that upside, but Charbonnet was out there on the goal line last week. The shoulder issue.
Yeah. So guys, I said we were done, but we did have 2 questions hit, and one of them is a IBT family member. So I feel obligated to hang around. If we go to the IBT family member, I feel like we have to answer the one before. Are you guys okay with 2 more real quick?
Yeah.
Always.
All right. So first, this is half PPR. Sit one of the 4. Eckler, Chandler, White, Swift. Who you sitting?
Eckler.
Seth, you're muted.
Chandler for me. 100% Chandler.
Chandler for me.
I mean, weren't we just talking up Austin Eckler, JC? Like, I know it's half point PPR,
against Denver.
You guys are talking. I still can't get over how shit he's been.
JC was kind of listening to me talk up Eckler. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
I can't get off the fact that he was just been shit the last like 6 weeks before that.
Yeah. No, I feel
Is he still quarterback?
Yeah, it
doesn't matter.
But
we also not playing. Isn't who else?
I really wish they would give Max Dugan a shot.
Yeah. Dugan. How are they not playing him?
Come on.
They cut him. They cut Dugan. He's not even a Charger anymore.
Oh my God! How are they giving this kid who's named after a hockey stick a quarterback like chance? Like, I don't get it.
Played pretty decent in 3 starts. I mean, he really hasn't done a terrible job. I mean, I'm just saying he's got some rushing upside. You're telling me Max Dugan? Come on, bro. Like,
dude, I want to see Dugan.
He was in the national championship.
I don't want to see Easton Stick. I mean,
I don't either. But if you look at, the Oakland game or the Las Vegas game,
anything else.
All right.
Rivers. I'd rather watch Rivers play football this week. Come on.
Well, I'd rather watch Rivers too, man. Rivers could be Joe Flacco 2.0, baby.
Oh,
who are you sitting, Tyler?
I'm sitting Chandler. I'm out on Chandler.
Evan, Chandler for you?
Yeah, with the Jared, I'm sitting Chandler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sven, what
We
we
can't
got?
trust JC. He's a Vikings fan. Moving
I'm
on.
the rusty taco. Okay.
Gents, and more gents. Kenneth Walker or Zamir. We already know what JC is gonna say, so let's move on past what you guys say. Evan, Seth.
Man. I mean, I think is it full PPR?
He did not say. He just said, "Who is this IBT member you mentioned?" It is
Either way,
absolutely.
I mean, I'll take the. Oh man, I'm going Zamir White here just by a little bit.
He said it is PPR.
Yeah, I just think back to the point. If Jacobs doesn't play, Zamir is by himself, and even though Walker got the carries and is involved, Charbonnet is there. They're using him. They're using him in the goal line, which is what I don't like. That's where they're putting him in the game is inside the 5-yard line. So if Walker gets 16 to 20 carries, but he doesn't touch the ball inside the 10, that scares me a little bit. If he does, he's got a boom potential, but I don't know if we can guarantee that with Pete Carroll and how they've looked and that shoulder. If Zamir's by himself, I'm riding that.
Keep in mind, the Steelers have not allowed a rushing touchdown over the last month. They've actually been one of the bottom 5 matchups for running backs in that span. While we talked about the Colts already, they've been a really good they've been a really good matchup for running backs. So
it's to your point of what you've done for me lately, Seth. Pittsburgh's run defense looks bad season long.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I was actually on the wrong tab. They have not been Steelers have still been beatable running back wise, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my apologies.
Dadgummit, man. The chat keeps lighting up. Stop, everybody.
All right,
let's get out of here.
We got to do some. We'll do some lightning. We'll do some lightning round. Yeah,
All right,
looking at that,
lightning
I'm going Kenneth Walker now for Sven. I talked myself back out of it. I'm
No,
sorry.
Zamir White. Don't listen to him.
I talked
Zamir
myself
White.
out of it.
2-2 again. We are very even split tonight, guys.
Yeah,
Dude, 145 yards last week, 22 carries. Give me Zamir
And the
White.
Colts
Take him
matchup.
out.
Steelers.
It is
no, I'm
cake.
good.
It is cake.
All right, let's
All
do
right.
some rapid fire.
Rapid fire, half point PPR, pick 2. Yeah. Or sorry. Yeah. Sorry, let me go back. Yeah, I think he said pick 2, half point PPR.
I think it's just one.
Oh, just one. Man, goodness. Oh, at flex. Okay. Who you going at flex?
I think I'm going Chris Godjim. I love him, man. He slowly kind of got his shit together with Baker Mayfield a little bit,
I'm
and
going Kittle. First Washington.
Tight end premium doesn't sway that, Seth.
Oh.
Because I'm right there
Kittle
with
versus
you.
Washington.
I
baby.
didn't. Okay. Yeah, I didn't see it was tight end premium. Yeah, it's Kittle for me then. Apologies.
Kittle, yep.
Sorry, I'm not reading, folks. It's 11:21 on the East Coast. I'm a little slow.
Kittle.
I had a
Kittle
feeling
agreed.
you didn't read that part. I didn't think you were gonna. I like Godwin, man. I mean, I think he could have another 10 catch game, but tight end premium, it's Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle could have fucking Yep.
I'm with it, Kittle. If I had to make a second choice, I would go D-Hop personally.
You and your D-Hop.
Dude, if Levis is back, I like it.
Dude, he's had 4 points in 2 weeks in a row, and I'm nervous.
Tannehill messes with it.
Dude, one of those games was Levis though till the end, so I'm good on
Treylon Burks.
I'm good on D-Hop. Other than the revenge.
Burks got me to the championships in the freaking Warrior Bowl.
He didn't do anything. You got there to spite of him.
He
not
did
because
nothing,
of him.
like we told you. We told you Burks was not the answer, bro.
He was the answer. I started him like I said I was going to, and I freaking won.
Oh, it was
So
it was pick 2. So I would go Godwin and Kittle. You're going Godwin and D-Hop, Tyler?
Yes.
I'm going Kittle and Godwin.
No, wait, Tyler, you're going Kittle D-Hop, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So are you going JSN D-Hop?
No,
I'm Godwin Kittle, yeah.
Godwin Kittle. Godwin Kittle.
Phone's trying to talk to us.
If you have another request.
All right, Stafford or Stroud?
Oh, Stroud, 100%. I like Stafford this week. He's borderline top 12 play, but this is another one of those. Let's not get too cute. Like,
Mhm.
I get the matchup is really good against the New York Giants, but I mean, this could be a big Kyron Williams game. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
The opponent has Kyron. What you don't want to do is let your opponent ride Kyron while Stafford doesn't do anything.
Yep.
That would be terrible.
Get into a different game. Nino.
Yeah, get into a different game. I like that. All right, guys, wrapping it up. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Thanks to everybody who popped in the chat. Like and subscribe to the video. Go to fantasyfootballadvice.com. Most importantly, follow everybody that's in this show because they are killer. They are all, I mean, we got 2 members of the sports affiliation, both writers, both doing a lot of stuff. We got Seth, the main guy, the big honcho from IVT Media.
Small part in it.
These guys are awesome. These are all part of fantasyfootballadvice.com and are in there answering your questions, writing articles. Seth's group posts an article every week that is an absolute stunner. I mean, when it comes to like when I look at our clicks in our website, that article freaking rocks it. So, I mean, you want to be there. You want to be checking that stuff out. We're here with you every Friday at 9 o'clock Central Time from the forum. You guys have a great night. Go to fantasyfootballadvice.com and we will catch you next week.